bombs fell, the world burned, the darkness consumed us. Humans dug deep, but the earth held secrets. There is no escape now. Where else would you go?
The year is 2242. 2 centuries have passed since the Great Ashfall, when the world above turned into a radioactive wasteland. Humanity now clings to life in the Burrow, a labyrinthine underground city carved from the Earth's belly. Sunlight is a myth, replaced by the flickering glow of bioluminescent fungi and scavenged power cells. Water is life's most precious currency, and the Wellspring Seekers are the unsung heroes, braving the deep, unexplored tunnels to find new aquifers for the Burrow's million souls. Our story belongs to Amara, a woman whose skin, the color of rich earth, seemed to absorb the dim light, making her presence almost ethereal. She was a master cartographer among the Wellspring Seekers, her mind a map of every tremor and crevice in the subterranean world. Her husband, Caleb, a formidable engineer, kept the Burrow's life support systems humming, his love for Amara as steady and vital as the city's air recyclers. Their bond was a rare beacon of warmth in the cold, claustrophobic darkness. But in the unseen crevices of the deep earth, other beings had always existed, unseen, untouched by human wars. And as humanity delved deeper, desperate for survival, they began to stumble upon the ancient, hidden pockets of residences of jinns and other creatures. Whispers of the others circulated amongst the tunnel diggers, tales of fleeting shadows, eerie music, and a suffocating dread in unexplored passages.
Amara first noticed it after a deep dive expedition into Sector 7, a newly mapped zone rumored to hold a vast, untouched aquifer. She'd felt an unseen presence, a brush against her psyche, like a spiderweb on a moonless night. Back in their cramped, fungal-lit dwelling, things began to shift. Her prized rock samples would rearrange themselves. The faint, high-pitched hum of Jinn song, too subtle for Caleb's ears, would drift from empty corners. Caleb, dedicated and practical, dismissed her growing unease as tunnel fatigue or carbon narcosis. But the Jinn, an entity of pure will and shadowed fire, had seen Amara. Its ancient, twisted heart was drawn to her vibrant spirit, a stark contrast to the dreary world they both inhabited. It began to weave itself into the fabric of her reality. Arguments, sharp and sudden, erupted between Amara and Caleb. Moments that felt alien, forced. Amara would find herself yelling at Caleb for trivial things, words she didn't mean escaping her lips. Caleb, meanwhile, became distant, his eyes sometimes holding a coldness that wasn't his own. The Jinn was manipulating Caleb's perceptions, filling his mind with doubts about Amara, making her seem irrational, hysterical. Amara would accuse him of changing, of not loving her, unaware that the Jinn was subtly twisting Caleb's affection into irritation, subtly whispering, "She's losing it. She's a liability." Amara's mental state began to unravel in terrifying ways. She'd wake up screaming from nightmares where the Jinn, a formless shadow with eyes like burning embers, would claim her, binding her to its will. During the day, she'd see it in the peripheral darkness of the tunnels, its form coalescing from the shadows, its voice, a chilling blend of wind and whispers, caressing her name. "Mine, Amara, you are mine." She would sob, plead with Caleb, recount the horrors, but her words were met with looks of growing concern, then weary frustration. The Jinn's influence was meticulously destroying her sanity. Eventually, after a particularly violent outburst where Amara, under the Jinn's influence, almost sabotaged a vital water purification unit, Caleb, heartbroken and desperate, made the agonizing decision. He had her confined to the site containment unit, a sterile, lead-lined section of the Burrow, meant for those whose minds had shattered under the pressures of underground life. In the cold, humming silence of her containment cell, Amara was truly alone. The sedatives dulled her senses, but they couldn't touch the Jinn. One night, as the bioluminescent panels flickered, a deep shadow detached itself from the wall. It solidified into the Jinn's terrifying form, its eyes glowing with possessive hunger. "You are here now, my love," its voice hissed, a sound that scraped against the very rock of the chamber. "Forever with me. I adore your light, Amara, and if you deny me, I will tear this city apart, starting with your Caleb. You will be mine, soul and shadow." The chilling words were the final hammer blow to Amara's psyche. She screamed, but no one came. She was truly insane, utterly alone, or so everyone believed. Word of Amara's descent into madness reached Reverend Ezekiel, Zeke Thorne, a venerable figure in the Burrow, whose faith was as unyielding as the rock around them. Zeke, a friend of Amara's father, a fellow Wellspring Seeker lost to the deep tunnels years ago, immediately felt a cold dread. He'd heard the old tales, the ones whispered by generations who survived the Ashfall. Tales of spirits and beings that predated humanity's surface-dwelling days. When he visited Amara in psych containment, he didn't see madness. He saw a soul in torment, surrounded by an oppressive, non-human malevolence. Reverend Zeke faced immense skepticism from the medical council, and even Caleb. "Jinn, Father Zeke, we're fighting for survival, not ghosts," Caleb argued, exhaustion etched on his face. But Zeke's conviction was unwavering. He spoke of the old ways, of a forgotten knowledge the survivors had brought underground. He argued that the Jinn, ancient dwellers of the Earth's unseen currents, were being stirred by humanity's relentless tunneling and resource extraction. Finally, with a desperate plea and the weight of his spiritual authority, he convinced Caleb and the chief medic to allow Amara to be moved to the sanctum, a forgotten, pre-Ashfall chapel in the oldest, deepest part of the Burrow, carved directly from raw rock. The sanctum was chillingly cold, its air thick with the dust of centuries. Reverend Zeke began the ancient rite, a ritual passed down through generations of underground preachers. Caleb stood nearby, his face pale, clutching a rusted wrench. His only weapon against the unseen, as Zeke chanted, his voice resonating against the rock walls. The very air in the sanctum seemed to thicken. The bioluminescent fungi on the ceiling flickered wildly, casting dancing, grotesque shadows. Amara's body writhed, her eyes rolling back as the Jinn fought back, its voice echoing from her lips, a guttural shriek that scraped against sanity. "She is mine! I claim her. You will not take her." The Jinn slammed Amara against the hard rock floor, threw her against the rough-hewn walls. The sanctum trembled. A suffocating stench of ozone and burnt dust filled the air. Zeke, unwavering, pressed on, his voice hoarse but resolute, the holy words a searing fire against the Jinn's presence. Hours passed, a timeless battle of spirit against ancient, malevolent will. Finally, with a thunderous crack that reverberated through the very bedrock of the Burrow, a formless, obsidian black shadow tore itself from Amara's body. It shrieked, a sound of unimaginable agony and fury, before dissolving into the darkest corner of the sanctum. Amara collapsed, unconscious, her body limp and scarred, but finally free. Caleb rushed to her, his tears blurring the dim light. Her face, though pale, was no longer contorted by terror. Reverend Zeke, utterly drained, knelt, his head bowed. They had won. When Amara slowly opened her eyes, she recognized Caleb, a flicker of peace in her gaze. But as Caleb helped her out of the sanctum, a chilling whisper, dry as dust and cold as the deepest earth, slithered through the tunnels, heard only by Amara and Reverend Zeke. "I will return for you, Amara. The Obsidian Heart remembers. Your light belongs to me, always." Amara slowly recovered, but the memory of the Jinn and its lingering promise became an unshakable phantom in the Burrow. Every flicker of the bioluminescent lights, every creak of the groaning rock sent a shiver down their spines. They knew it wasn't over. The Jinn was out there, lurking in the uncharted darkness, waiting. And sometimes, in the deepest, most silent parts of the night, their legs still trembled,